CRISPR Roots 31 is going to be about a couple new harmonica albums. Several were issued yesterday. But let's talk about Big Harp George, Cooking with Gas. I did say Big Harp George. And Son of Dave, A Flat City. A Flat City. I guess these are both innovative harmonica players, and they both perform under funky monikers. They might both be 60. I don't know. So that's all pretty interesting. They sound very different, though. Excellent records, I think. And, you know, I'm a harmonica player, and I guess I think of it as a neglected instrument. All right, like I think that in rock and roll, for instance, Magic Dick had amazing moments with the Jay Giles band playing harp as a rock instrument, like with the wah-wah pedals and shit too. Or Lee Oscar with War. But these are isolated breakouts, okay? And now they did play jazz harp a lot. Back in the day, Toots Thielmans and Larry Adler were jazz chromatic players. I mean, these are isolated breakouts. It's not like that was one of the basic jazz instruments. So I still feel like, there's all kinds of places to go with the harp that have not really been explored, or not adequately. So anyway, let's talk about Big Harp George. Now, first of all, Big Harp George is a professor emeritus of law at University of San Francisco, or somewhere in the Bay Area. So what the heck? I mean, I'm an emeritus professor too, but that gives me hope. Maybe I should, ditch the last few trickles of academic writing that I could possibly achieve and go on the road with a blues band as Big Harp Crispy. Except I play little harps. So when he says Big Harp George, his name is George Bisharat. Did I spell that right? Bisharat? Bisharat? I don't know. Okay, so here are pictures real quick of, obviously it doesn't help you on audio, of a chromatic and a diatonic harmonica. The big one is the chromatic with the button on the end. And that's why he calls himself Big Harp George, because he plays chromatic. He says that he's one of the few blues players, one of the only blues players who plays primarily chromatic. Now, this is pretty funky, really, because I'll tell you what, this took me a while to figure out. But a lot of the basic blues guys, starting with Little Walter, and that's probably why other people do it, pose with chromatic harmonicas. The most famous images of Little Walter, I'm showing you some right here, have him with a big chromatic harmonica. That almost became traditional in like images of blues harp players and stuff like this, okay? I like William Clark, again, I'm a fan, I've mentioned him before, earlier episodes. He posed with a big chromatic. For a while, I actually thought when I was trying to learn to play, I thought the third position stuff, minor key stuff, was played on a chromatic. And I could never figure it out. But actually, for the most part, I think these guys pose with chromatics because you can't even see the diatonics in an image. It disappears in your hand. And play diatonics. So that's kind of odd. But Big Harp George, who's cooking with gas, pretty goofy album cover actually. Sorry, Big Harp. Plays blues on a chromatic. A chromatic, if you want to hear it in your head, it sounds like Stevie Wonder. That's one way it sounds. The difference is it has all the notes. Diatonic does not. So if you want to have all the notes, you've got to bend and blow bend and overblow and all this stuff, okay? Now, I've known some people for a long time who can play a chromatic scale on a diatonic harmonica. Someone like Jason Ritchie can do that, the unbelievable virtuoso, Jason Ritchie, Ricci. I knew a guy who gave me a couple lessons, my only lessons I got on harmonica from by Pierre G.T. Beauregard, who played with a band called Powerhouse and was a friend of Magic Dick's, or is a friend of Magic Dick's, and was designing harps. And I went over to his house one time, and he was playing note for note with Charlie Parker solos on a diatonic harmonica in 74 or whenever that was. I would have definitely thought that was totally impossible. Okay, but actually the diatonic and chromatic harps sound quite different. And as Big Harp George says someplace, the chromatic harp is quite a bit harder to play. In one sense. I mean, I switch keys. I got 12 keys of harps over here in a box. But you play one chromatic in all 12 keys because you have all the notes. All right, well, that makes a harder instrument to play. I messed around with the chromatic and never really did figure it out. And partly because I don't love the sound in the same way I love the diatonic. Big Harp George is kind of an innovator in blues chromatic, I think. And one issue I always have with chromatic, I don't know maybe I should interview Big Harp George somehow. It's like it's hard to bend notes with a chromatic, hard to get chords, hard to be expressive with a chromatic, if you ask me. But Big Harp George does a lot. All right, so just to give you the basic idea, here's Cooking with Gas. And one thing I like about this bluesy and jazzy songs with lots of contemporary themes. Cooking with Gas is about, how Biden wants to take away your gas range, or is it AOC? Whatever. But Big Harp George ain't having it. The Cell Phone Hater 2.0 is here. Like, there's a lot of kind of, I don't know, stuff about now, or nowish. So here's a basic blues sound from Big Harp George, playing a chromatic on a blues song. I don't think he hits the harp really till the end of this one, but he's a nice writer and a nice vocalist too. So I'll give you a vibe.
Blew out my kitchen wall not a year ago. Had to have a crane lift in my new stove. Damn thing is heavy as a Cadillac car. Friends came to marvel from near and far. Cooking with gas, cooking with gas. Only chance I ever had to look out past. Now you coming round trying to roll my phone, telling me it's just the same as eating a gun. Cooking with gas, cooking with gas. Natural gas ain't what it's supposed to be.
All right, I was establishing some bluesiness there. And this is a bit of a new sound, like chromatic blues. I mean, it's not that it's never been done. Jerry Portnoy, I think. He sounds quite a bit like some of the Jerry Portnoy stuff from the 80s, I think. And Jerry sometimes played a chromatic. All right, let's see. I'm going to try... now, one thing, the chromatic opens up more possibilities in a sonic palette, even sort of blues crossover sounds. So he does a lot of great funk on here, or some interesting funk, and some jazz, and swing, especially in a swing vein, or a little bop too, and you can move pretty effortlessly in that direction with a chromatic. I mean, I'm going to say just for the hell of it that Pierre could play a chromatic scale on a diatonic, But that doesn't mean he could do everything that a chromatic player can do on a chromatic. You know, like some of these runs. Well, let's see. How about this song, Doom Loop? This is an interesting one. Nice lyric, too.
Saw it in your eyes, baby, clear as day. Hell bent on multiplying your mistakes. Cheating and lying comes so naturally. Let somebody else take it for the team. Tell you, baby, I ain't going down with you. Well, it's time for me to cut you loose. I'm shucking and jiving so streetwise and good. Using and abusing everybody should do. Dumb enough to think that we're all so blind. Pitying you, we're just acting kind. Listen, baby, you can't take me down with you. Well, man, it's time for me to cut you loose on your doom loop, doom loop, doom loop, doom loop.
Movie soundtrack or something. That's a wild harp sound, that last thing, right? And it's not like this is pure blues or something either. And so like he's, I think, still showing you that the possibilities of harmonica are open. You know, this is a song called Maciosity. And I'm assuming it's a tribute to Maceo Parker, and it's a funk workout. And so he's using the harp as horns for one thing in this tribute to Maceo. I just thought I'd sort of play you the end of this. Right, I think he's got overtracked harps there, like a horn section but with a very distinctive timbre. And I don't know, I don't know that I've heard anything quite like that before. All right, now let's talk about Son of Dave. Aw, Dave. All right, Son of Dave is Benjamin Darville. He's from Canada. Did I just read Winnipeg? And he played in the 90s with the band that had a hit or two, Crash Test Dummies. Good name for a band. And ever since then, I mean, I guess for the last, what is it, 20 years or something, he's been putting out solo albums, and he plays harmonica and beatboxes. I guess there's less beatbox on this recent album, A Flat City. I think, unless all the drums are beatboxes that I'm not beatboxing that I'm not hearing. I guess it's a pretty natural pairing, beatboxing and harping. I never tried and playing the harp. I never tried it myself. I probably came along after the beatbox idea. Although I saw the human beatbox with the Fat Boys in the early '80s a couple times, several times. All right. Anyway, and incredible, basically diatonic player. Lord knows what he plays though at a given moment. Okay, it's a mystery in some ways. He's a very innovative harmonica player, son of Dave. And not that he's like some insane technician, although I think there's probably more like music theory and sophistication underneath this than you may immediately detect. He's not a technical wizard, or he doesn't present himself that way usually, but he's really exploring things like all the timbre possibilities of the harmonica, all the chunky rhythm section establishing possibilities of the harmonica, which is connected to the beatbox, you know. And I mean, you use your tongue to, you know, or bap 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 bap. It's connected, and so I think like it's more like in an easy way with some lovely songs that I really enjoy listening to, just putting on. And I reviewed his last album for Splice today. I'll try to put that up. He just kind of again like he opens up new possibilities in the harmonica. Another thing he does, I think, is he makes it sound rather different in different contexts. He uses, I think, I guess I've seen some of this online. He uses various objects as mutes. He tries various kind of crunchy organic techniques for altering the sound of a harmonica. And then he makes these albums that are basically very bluesy, but use the harp in all kinds of ways. Now, he very much favors low-tuned diatonics. At least that's the way I'm hearing this. It's kind of speculation. Again, I haven't interviewed the guy or whatever. These are popular these days. Rocket low-tuned. Okay. They kind of opened up new possibilities, and I feel like he plays... I mean, this album is called A-Flat City. Some of the songs are in A-flat, but they're not all in A-flat. So I tried to check that out. But he gets a chunky, low rhythm going with these octave lower than usual diatonics. One thing about playing with these low harps is that it's a little harder to move the reeds. It's a little less responsive. It's a little less quick. And it almost gets like a little draggy flavor. There's like a split second of delay, which can be an interesting effect. Of course, you could compensate for that in various ways in recording, obviously. But it doesn't really. I think it has a certain vibe. All right, so let's try a couple things from Son of Dave. All right, I can do it. Here comes Son of Dave. How about this sound? That's what I'm talking about. harmonica players, you're going to enjoy playing with this. It's in B flat, so it's an E flat to play cross. I don't have a low E flat. That's real fun. It's called Try a Little Hound Dog by Son of Dave from A Flat City. All right. All right. He really gets, I mean, I guess I am just intrigued over and over again by the sound. And to be working in a vein that is this connected to traditions, blues traditions, but is this innovative too? To me, that's really intriguing. Like I look for that a lot. Like someone who's really connected to the country tradition and really contemporary. And even Morgan Wallen or something hits that. All right. Anyway, here's the song "Yahoos" by Son of Dave. Okay, that's a beatbox, right?
Got my baseball cap on, got wraparound shades on, got the classic rock radio on. In my truck, in my truck. Got Canadian flag on, got the 4-wheel drive on, got the 6-inch record on. In my truck, in my truck. My daddy told me about you. If what you thought is true, you make sound that goes. Woo! Woo!
I love that sound. And I say you can hear the little delay in between when he pulls on that reed and when the reed vibrates. And that's part of this bass harp sound.
My daddy warned me about you.
I can tell I like a groove when I can't bring myself to turn it off. All right. So that's Big Harp George and Son of Dave. Who, I mean, every song on that Son of Dave album is intriguing, and many of them in different ways. And that's true of both these albums, I guess. They're varied, and they're harmonica showcases of kind of new developments, or fresh sounding to me developments in sort of traditional harmonica. I mean, I also might mention that Curtis Salgado has a nice album out this week called "Fine by Me." I guess that's the guy that maybe taught Dan Aykroyd to play harp. I don't know, but it's a nice album. More kind of standard blues, so I thought these two made a. But I recommend Salgado's art album too. All right, I'm gonna get off the harmonica, I swear. Guess we did Kim Wilson recently, and anyway, lots of good harmonica coming out. And that there is CRISPR Roots, what is it, 31.